once again to the UnLearnT podcast. I am your host, Ruth Abigail, aka RA, and this is Freedom Friday, where me and me of a friend of mine come to you and share something we've unlearned recently and how it has made us just a little bit more free. And I have my best friend, one of my best friends, Jaquetta Ross, on the podcast once again. What up, Quita?
What's up, best friend? What a great time on the UnLearnT podcast, man. What a great time.
Oh, what a great time. What a great
What a
time.
great
Except
time.
you just told me I need to change my like camera angles and things. So I'm sitting here trying to
the
like
people want to see your
figure out.
face, right? We want to see Ruth Abigail.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much that's true. But okay. So
I've had a good many years trying to, make you better, That's
yeah,
who I
well,
am.
yeah, I will say that's true. You have done that. You've done that. You've done it a little bit. A little bit. A little bit.
Same.
And I am about to say let's
I was about to say.
I mean, I'm just saying. I feel like it's necessary to say, hey, it's two-way street. Two-way street.
For sure.
What's up, man? How's your week been?
Man, this week has been bananas, but I'm excited. We are on spring break. I feel like I can breathe again. I feel like I can sit down and hear the Lord and get a new vision and carry us on to the end of the school year. But we're doing fantastic over here, best friend. How about you?
Look at you. Look at you. That was such a nice answer. Spoken like a true leader. Yeah. I'm doing good. I'm headed out of town on a conference tomorrow. So that's gonna be great.
You to send me like your schedule.
Oh, I didn't tell you that.
No,
you weren't aware.
No.
So yeah. So I'm in a leadership program. You know this. I'm in a leadership program.
I did know that.
And so we have our first like week-long conference that happens in Orlando. So headed out there and we'll be there for a week.
Got you.
So I guess by the time people will be hearing this, I will be back home. So but I'll be out there. So getting ready for that. We just came off of spring break. So we're going back into regular times. And I've been to the park a lot, with the family. That's been fun. And done a lot of fun with the family. Family fun. And we've been doing a lot of running. I just got back from the park actually this evening.
Been doing a lot of what?
I have a cramp in my leg.
You've been doing a lot of what?
I've been doing a lot of running. You heard it right. Running. Okay. Running. That's right. Yeah, we've been racing. And so we've been
I'd like to say, UnLearnT family, that in my almost 20 years of knowing Ruth Abigail, I cannot positively say that I have ever in my life seen her run anywhere. Okay? Anywhere.
Untrue.
Just put that out there.
Untrue. Untrue. I think that's untrue. I'm unwilling to say that that's true.
A quick, brisk walk, friends. A brisk walk. Like you're walking through the airport and you got to like, man, I got to hustle. Like that kind of walk. I don't even know if I've seen a jog past like maybe 3 steps.
Here's what you didn't know. Here's what you didn't know. Before I met you in college, I did intramural.
We don't need to talk about it. We don't need to talk about it.
I'm just saying, I did intramural basketball.
Yeah, no, we remember you telling us these stories.
I'm just saying it was the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like I was playing basketball. So just be clear. All right. Let's just be clear. And no, I don't run a lot. I mostly walk, but I'm getting back into my, active game. You know what I mean? Like that's what happens when you have a 9-year-old. You have to be active.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So
and I hear,
but I have a cramp in my leg.
The next level of your life.
Yeah. This cramp though, is not. Yeah, it's not working for me.
Yeah. Late 30s.
Yeah, that's what it's called. That's what it's called. Yeah. So, Quita.
What's up?
All right. So we actually have talked a lot recently, and you have just had some really cool speaking engagements. You've been like out there on the speaking circuit because my homie is a dynamic speaker. Okay, let's be clear about it. Let's be clear. All right, my girl can throw down at the microphone. Okay, and so whatever you need her to do, you call her. She got you. All right. So, but yeah, so like you've been out there on your speaking circuit, and how's that been?
Whoa, man, it's been number one, an absolute blessing and to see God move in the different facets of my life because each speaking engagement was so different.
Mm.
Like I told people I am now apparently Black History Month and Women's History Month. I just need to be ready. Like when February and March roll around, I just need to be ready. You understand? Because they are like, Jaquetta, get her. Like, so it has been an absolute blessing because that is a way that I can serve God and serve people in a way that is just so beautiful. And it's just so edifying, not just to the people I'm speaking to, but to myself. I always tell people, like, even when I was in the classroom teaching, every single lesson I taught, you have to live out. Like, you have to make full proof of whatever you're going to get behind a microphone and say. Like, life is going to take you through something if you are a person that speaks with conviction and if you are a person that is meant to transform and to elevate the lives of other people, you are going to have to live that stuff out. So when I was teaching college skills and teaching time management, my weeks before and after I taught those time management classes were rough. It was like, oh, you want to teach it, you got to live it. And so every time I get in front of an audience, I try to make sure that it's not just me speaking empty words. What makes my words powerful and have, a landing effect is that God has taken me through a process so that my words are carrying the weight of what I've learned and unlearned. Just kind of through the weeks prior to that. And so these past couple of speaking engagements have just been, it has been a birthing process for sure, but it's been so beautiful to just know that God would use not just my words, but use my story, use my living, use my relationships with people, use my conversations to, those moments are a culmination of all the moments that happened before it. And so it's always a blessing to be able to be in that space. It is nerve-wracking. I would tell people, I am at home behind the mic. But the moment up until I am a nervous wreck. Even before we got on the podcast today, I was like, ooh, my nerves are bad. And I know you were like, girl. And I was just like, but the moment we kicked in, I was like, let's go, it's go time. And so I'm at home behind a mic, but the journey to the microphone, my Lord, it's a process. But
okay,
I am just always.
That's good. I don't want to cut you off, but I'm gonna cut you off because
Best friend privilege.
I think that yes, amen. That is, I think that's a great place to pause. I want to ask you what you've unlearned about the journey to the microphone. I like that.
Ooh, man. So, I am a licensed minister and a preacher, and I'm also a, self-proclaimed motivational speaker. Like I said, I love being in front of a crowd. But what I have learned, one, is that those journeys are can both be very different in some ways because you carry the weight of the people in a different way. The journey, one thing I know about preaching, and I've always known since I went to divinity school, so many years ago, no need to put a number to it. But I've always known that preaching, like, that's not my word. Like that's not my word to give. These are not my people to try to, influence one way or the other. God is going to do what he wants to do, and I'm going to stand out of his way and be a willing vessel just to pour out. But the process of waiting on God to speak, since I was in divinity school, I was like, I'm going to wait on God. All right, God, if you could please come maybe a week or so before the event and just let's pour this out. Let's get this thing knocked out. And at that time, I was preaching for assignments. So I was like, Lord, this assignment is due tomorrow. Right? Need you to speak, Jesus. Speak, Lord. This is your word. I don't care if it is in class. These are your people, but when you are in a different space in life and the word is bleeding through your living and not just like this direct download from heaven that I'm used to sitting, praying, the Lord just whoosh. And then I'd be like, oh man, that's a good word, Lord. This time it was live a little, I'll talk a little. Live a little, I'll talk a little. Live a little, I'll talk a little. And it was a very different process because I kept thinking to myself, oh, I'm waiting on God to speak. And I think God was saying, I'm waiting for you to hear me in a way that maybe you haven't heard me before. And I had to keep my ear open in a way that I probably wasn't as used to. It wasn't let me lie on my face for 10 hours and God's going to speak. It was, man, I've been through so much today. And as I'm driving home, the Lord is like, download now, boom. And I'm like, oh, I'm over here voice to text. Like, all right. So in the book of First Samuel, when she said this, and that relates to what I went through today, and so it was, these motivational speeches and these sermons and all these things that God is putting me in the forefront to, the stuff that's happening in the background, like those things are beginning to like intertwine in a way that that I've been used to in some regard, but this particular season of speaking, it's been much different. Like it has been very much I am literally walking through the things that I'm getting up there saying. So like I said, it's been beautiful, but it's been kind of hard, but it's been really beautiful.
What I like about that, because I think that, because like, most people listening probably aren't speakers, but I think what I like about that is the fact that there is a reality to the, how do I want to say it? There's a reality to the line upon line, precept on precept kind of walk. It's just a steady, I like what you said, I live a little, God talks a little. I live a little, God talks. I gotta, but see that it's a relational way of communicating, because now you aren't, everything you are experiencing has undoubtedly been experienced by somebody else. And it's almost as if God is, very much putting you in a position to relate to the people you're talking to through your story, not just through revelation, but through experience. And that it makes the communication much more powerful. And I also think it brings a level of maturity to the conversation, because when you experience something, you have to kind of you have to own every part of that experience. And for the integrity of the communicator and the integrity of the of what you're saying, you don't get to make it up. You have to be honest about it. And there's a maturity that comes with that kind of honesty. And I just I wonder what are some things that you have uncovered or unlearned about you through the ways, through your living, right? Like what are some examples of, man, I just went through this and now I gotta go talk about it. Like what?
So a couple of things. Some things were coming up while you were talking, and so I'm gonna bring those up because I don't want to lose them, and then I'm gonna try to loop back into your question. But when you were talking about the, it makes you relate to the audience. I think a lot of times people see speakers up here and then audience down here. But if I've been living and going through and pushing through the same thing that you're going through, now we're speaking on a peer-to-peer level. Right. And I may be the one motivating and encouraging, but it's more so a push from behind, like I got your back and I'm going to
Mm.
push you to where I know God can get us both through, versus this kind of reach down mentality. And I got to give you
Right.
the word to pull you up because I've already reached the mountaintop and everybody needs to be listening to me. Right. That's the first thing that kind of came to mind when you were speaking, is that our process levels us to a point to where we can really reach the people. I can't reach the people if I'm too high up. I got to
Right.
get to the point, or if I'm too low down, like if I haven't made myself come up to where the people are, then I can't reach them. The second thing that I kind of thought about as you were talking is that my life has changed, man, since the last time I
Yeah.
really was out here in these speaking streets.
Yeah.
I started a PhD program.
Yeah.
My job is, we are in busy season, man. I work in student life, which is always busy because there's always something to do when you're talking about campus organizations, events, and programs. Literally, there's always something to do. But we kind of hit like a peak busy season that I wasn't fully it's not that I wasn't ready for it, it's just that it came and everything came out all at one time. And
Yeah.
so everything in my life was kind of like popping, big, busy, all at one time. And whereas before, when I was um able to really carve out a space, right, and say these 3 weeks I'm devoting purely to the preached word of God, and I'm not worried about work, and I'm not worried about
Yeah.
friendships, and I'm not worried about PhD. I'm not worried about anything, but for 3 weeks, I got this space carved out. I mean, because literally, I think the last time I preached was like over the summer. And I was
Yeah.
like coming home every day, laid out
Right.
on the floor. You
Right.
understand me? But now it is okay, that all of the things, all of the doors God is opening for me, nothing else in my life stopped because the door opened. Like nothing else in my life said, "Oh, that's so great. Like you're picking up steam and you're getting out there and look at you go. Why don't we just give you extensions on all these assignments?"
Wow.
Nothing in my life, none of the programs and events that's on this big calendar on my wall, none of them said, "Oh, wait, Jaquetta has to speak, guys. So everybody
Right.
cancel all of that stuff." Right? Nothing stopped. Like I wasn't able to push pause on the other parts of my life because I had something to do out in the forefront, right? I had to literally carry everything, and it required more intentionality on my part, of me saying, okay, what can I pull back from? And not to mention I had other stuff going on too. Like I had a lot, just
Yeah.
a lot going on, that I was just kind of in the season of everything's happening all at once. And it was all good things, but it was just things that needed me, that needed my attention, that needed my energy, that needed my efforts. And so me being able, I'm kind of an all-in person. If I'm focused on this right now, then I'm fully in that. I'm not a multitasker. Most of my friends know if I'm doing something.
She's not a
All right, I
multitasker.
didn't need backup. I already said
She's
you know.
not.
I already
I
said
just
you know. Nobody needed affirmation of that. But I'm very much, I'm a passionate person. I'm an all-in person. It was really difficult to not be able to say, all right, 3 weeks, nothing else matters. Right.
right.
I had to like literally step back and say, okay, if I'm an all-in person and I got 5 things on my schedule right now, I have to create some structure, which again that ain't really what I do. But I have to create some structure so that I can be able to give everything the attention that it deserves. Because I don't want all of the balls in my hand right now are glass, and I don't want to drop any of them. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to risk breaking anything that's in my hands right now. And then
Yeah.
also realizing sometimes though that ball that you thought couldn't be broken, it'd be all right. Do I have to read every article from my PhD program? No, I do not. No, I do not. Not thoroughly. And
Nope.
get the point, keep it pushing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Mhm.
everything can't be all in. And that's a really hard thing
That's
for a
real.
passionate, really devoted person to learn. Like, I'm not able, not 24/7, like everything can't get all of me. So Lord, what's important to you and what's important to me? And how do I balance those things, right? If anybody invites me anywhere to speak or to be a part of a program, I've emceed events before. I have, I'll be an usher. I don't mind, whatever it is. If anyone invites me to be a part of a program, a part of something that they're doing, that's a glass ball to me, right?
Yeah.
That's something
Right.
somebody has entrusted me with a piece of something that they're doing, and that's a glass ball, and I'm going to give that all the care and concern that I possibly can. But what does that mean for the other glass balls I was already juggling? So really learning how to not manage the situations, but to manage myself, to manage.
Yeah.
I always teach that time management, like we can't actually manage time. I can't say, all right, this week I don't really have as much to do on Friday, so I'm gonna take 10 hours from Friday and put it on Wednesday, right? We don't actually have the ability to manage time, but I can manage my attitude, I can manage my energy, I can manage my motivation, I can manage me.
That's right.
But that takes looking at me and taking a real deep look at myself and saying, Jaquetta, you kind of suck in this area. And when it came to like time management things, I was like, oh, Jaquetta, you kind of suck in that area, right? Like, you are going to have to do it at another level. And you don't realize that you're bad at something when it's not pressing on you, right? You don't realize that something is a struggle when it's not pressing on you. But when my time became short, when I had less of it to kind of give and play around with, it was, oh snap, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute now.
Yeah.
I thought I was a little bit better than this. But it definitely has taken me to a new level. I will definitely say PhD has definitely, in ways that, I wasn't anticipating, brought out some necessary enhancements to
Yeah.
the life of
Yeah.
Jaquetta. So yeah.
Yeah. T thing, and like that everything can't get everything. Like, everything can't get everything. It's not possible.
Yeah.
And I do think that, man, I think that's good. Like, especially, and I think that it's seasonal, right? I think there's a book I'm reading. It's called First Things First. I think I told you about it, by
Yeah.
Stephen Covey, and I know you're a Stephen Covey fan.
I'm a Stevie Covey.
And that book talks a lot about what you were kind of describing. This idea of like, how do you kind of decide what things get most of you at what times. Like, you have to make those decisions, and that's not a set thing. It's not like, okay, I figured it out and this is how it's going to be forever. That is it's on rotation a lot of times. It's a day by day moment choice. It's switching things in and out. It's all that. So we have to always be aware, like you said, of what's important to God, what's important to me. And then you have to be aware of when it shifts. When is the switch? What happens?
Sure.
Because switches happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's going to happen. And I feel like, and I've shared with you, and I think I've shared with other people, like, I did not realize how much time I had when I didn't have a family. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't realize that. And now it's like, oh shoot. The amount of time I used to have has shrunk when it comes to doing the things that I was focused on doing before, which was almost exclusively work. So now it's like, okay, my seasons have shifted. Therefore, my priorities have shifted. Therefore, I have to have some more intentionality around what things get pieces of me when. And it can't be, it has to be a consistent thought process thing. Like, I love what you said. You can't take 10 hours from Friday and add it to Wednesday. You can't do that.
Man, if we could.
Boy, I wish you could. That would be phenomenal. But you can't do it. So it's like, all right, well, what am I going to do today? I think I told you this past week for me, I feel like was a bad balance week. I feel like I could have done a better job. And it's just like, you win some, you lose some. It is what it is. And you have to just give yourself grace and move on. But I think that paying real close attention to the season of life you're in, where you are being pulled, and not and honoring that, and not feeling like you have to fill these other buckets that are there but may not need to be filled right now. Like, they're just they're there. It's okay. Like, they'll be fine. And there'll be a time where you put more into those buckets. But for right now, it's these buckets. And I need to do that. Right. I need to honor the buckets that are in front of me.
I'm sorry.
No,
I would
please.
use my best friend privilege to interrupt. Thank you.
You get one of these cards.
But I go back to the imagery of juggling, right? Like, as we're juggling, like, sometimes the things are in hand, and like, you have your hand on that particular ball, but there's other balls in the air. Like, they're still in rotation, but they're not in hand at the moment.
Yeah.
And, but it's gonna shuffle. Like, it's gonna, like, this ball is gonna go to this hand, that one's gonna go back up in the air, and so, like, everything is not always gonna be in hand, but that's the art of juggling, is that it's not always all in hand, but it's always all in rotation. And that is such a helpful just imagery, as we are, like, just kind of processing through everything in my life is important, and it's all in the cycle of what I can only hold two or three things at a time, but I can keep things going. Like, I can keep it moving, I can keep it cycling, I can keep things, in good working order, but I won't be able to touch everything at one time. And so, just as I think about, like, where my life is right now and where my life is going, amen. Like, I'm like, it's only going to be more things to juggle, and how am I learning, as long as you know the basic technique, adding stuff, you can. Can it get overwhelming? Yes, but you can. And so I feel like right now I'm just learning the art.
That's really
I'm a
good.
novice juggler.
That's really good. And I think what to me is freeing about what you just said, the rotation, is that there's a reality in if we're honoring the way that God has called us to live, right? Living in communion with Him and in community with others. There's never a point where the things that are in rotation aren't being taken care of. It just might not be by you.
Yeah.
And so that there's freedom there, because if I believe that everything is not up to me, and I don't actually work and live and think and behave independently. I am within a context of community and communion with God, right?
Yeah.
So when I have the things that He has, or life has just handed me at the moment, but I'm keeping the other stuff but the other stuff is in rotation. There is a way that that's being taken care of, and I may not know what it is, right? Or literally with other people, it's like, I don't have to be burdened by that. I don't feel guilty about it, and I don't have to feel like that's my sole responsibility. I think that sometimes we get so caught up in independence and in our own, ability to do all the things we're supposed to do and all this stuff. And it's like, that's just not how we're meant to live. And we can really perpetuate this idea of I think mental and emotional bondage when we force ourselves to live by ourselves and to do by ourselves, because we feel like it's mine and only mine. And it's not.
Yeah.
And God, the things that are important to you are equally and more important to God, he has it under control.
Yeah.
He has it under control, especially when he knows you don't. and there's just you know what I'm saying?
Girl, yes.
He has
But
it under control.
I think also like that juggling metaphor, I take a metaphor and we go all day.
Yeah.
But I think it's you seeing yourself as a steward of the things and not as a control.
Yes.
Like
That's good.
I actually don't have any control over the thing that's in my hand. I'm just the one stewarding it through. Right. And so
That's right.
I think that even as I'm like looking at the different areas of my life, I realize that I am growing in stewardship.
That's good.
Growing in my capacity to take care of the things that God has given me to take care of in the way that he's called me to do it, but also I don't have all the information about those things. So I'm, keeping my ear tuned to heaven, like, Lord, what should I be saying to this person? Lord, what should I be doing with this? Lord, like the only way that I keep those things going is that as a good steward, I'm listening to the master. I'm listening to the Father.
Yeah.
Like I have the voice of God guiding me through it. Or otherwise I'd have been dropped these balls. I'd have been everything around me would be broken and shattered, honey. But it's my devotion first to God to say, yes, Lord, I will steward the things that you've given me. And then my continual trust and reliance upon the Holy Spirit to be able to do it. Because without that, there's nothing. That I immediately knew that my last 2 speaking engagements, I was like, Lord, without you, it would not have happened. Like I was able to cycle through, but Lord, without you, we would not have made it.
Yeah.
And so,
No, that's real.
no.
That's real. I can appreciate an extended metaphor.
I'm done. I think we.
No. I can appreciate that. No, because you're right. I mean, I love the stewardship thing. The stewardship thing is real. I think you're right. It's not ours, right? And so, again, the owner of it cares more about it than we do. So he's not going to let it drop.
And cares about me. He's not going to let me drop.
That's right. Amen.
You know what I'm saying? Because it got hard.
Yeah.
It got difficult, but I'm grateful that I'm in God's hands.
That's right.
And so even when I feel like I have a lot of stuff in my hands, to know that we're in the Father's hand.
That's right.
I'll take it.
Well, come on in this house. See, we weren't even trying to get all deep and spiritual, but see, I'm talking to a preacher, so it was gonna go here. It was gonna go.
It was preacher or not. I love the Lord. And I'm gonna find a way to sneak them in.
Yeah. You is. Yeah.
I'm a saved friend. She got a few more too.
Oh Lord. Yeah, I'm the least. I'm the under one. I'm the undersaved one. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah, no. I'm just playing.
Undersaved.
Nah, I have no, but for real, like y'all live below water and like the deep 200 feet. I live right there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just deep enough to swim. You can walk in it, but you could also kind of wade in it. That's where I'm at. But y'all like in the deep. Where you didn't have.
We drag you off the shore occasionally. I feel like, our entire friendship has been me trying to drag you into the deep waters and you saying, 100%. Jaquetta, come back to the land.
Exactly.
Put your feet on the ground.
That is literally the friendship.
Yeah, that's us.
That is how that is us. That is us. There you go. That's what it is. That's what it is. So Quita, this has been a very enriching conversation.
Yay.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you joining me. I love this. I think we have experienced several of the same things. And we could probably talk about this all day because I'm sitting here thinking about other things that I've definitely all wrapped up into this whole theme. And so, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for seasons. They change, and And that there's hope in that, so if it's hard right now, seasons change. If it's boring right now, seasons change. If it is, confusing right now, if it's lonely right now, seasons change. And I think that if it's heavy right now, if you're overwhelmed right now, things change. And knowing the season.
Preach to the people, Ruth Abigail.
And being confident, thank you. And being confident in made me lose my whole train of thought. Being confident in being confident in the fact that everything doesn't require all of you all the time. It can't. You're not able to do it. And when you're not all in, God is all in. So don't worry about it. To the date.
I done brought her on here, y'all. We got her off the floor today. Ruth said, I got a word for the people. I need to tell y'all, anyone who may feel discouraged, anyone who may feel down and out.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
okay.
Lord.
Okay.
Speak to your daughter, Lord.
Okay. All right. Quita. Dog. Thank you for coming on the show.
Listen, I love y'all. I love this podcast. I love what you're doing. I love that Ruth Abigail, if Ruth Abigail ain't going to do nothing else, she is going to take an idea or a concept and she is going to take it all the way. So keep pushing, friend. I'm loving it.
Man, I appreciate it. And thank y'all for listening once again to the UnLearnT podcast. And let's keep unlearning together so that we can live more freely. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.